This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 227 of the Dressage Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network, brought to you by Fleeceworks and Equisketch.
This is Reese Koffler-Stanfield from Georgetown, Kentucky.
And this is Philip Parks from Fergus, Ontario, and you're listening to the Dressage Radio Show with our producer Glenn back and with us on the show, which is great.
It's been a while.
Hey, guys.
That's it.
I
We had
miss
our
you
week
all.
off.
Yeah, it's been a while. And I've been dying to talk to Reese since the news came out that, well, just give everybody a brief rundown. Basically, for the WEG 2018, they had accepted applications, and everybody backed out except Canada. And then Canada...
Because we're reliable and awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And then, WEG said, no, we don't want you unless you get more financing lined up. Especially with the more government backing. And so they reopened the applications to everybody. Mm-hmm. And they had 4 applications come in. They had London, England. They had Canada again. And then they had 2 from the United States, Wellington, which I want to talk about in a minute, and then also Lexington, where 2010 was, and where Reese lives. So now my question for you, Reese, is do you think that... that they would even look at Lexington this close to when they had them, there before?
I honestly don't know. I was pretty involved with the planning in 2010. I know,
that's why I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, I know. But I haven't been involved much since then. So I don't know. I went off well. I think everybody enjoyed it. I think that Lexington is certainly, as you'll hear on the show, we'll hear in the next few weeks, we have Festival of Champions next week, and we'll hear from the president of Kentucky Dressage Association then. And there's a lot that has happened since 2010 and a lot of change in real estate around the horse park and around sort of where I live. For example...
One of the promises they made to the locals as WEG was coming up, especially the governor was big on promising this, was that it was going to change the face of Lexington, that there would be a lot more sport horses coming in and not just breeding farms. Has that happened?
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Really?
Big time. I mean, around the horse park, 10 to 20 acre farms have exploded, and rings, and you see all kinds of Florida plates and all kinds of crazy cars. And, we had that here in Lexington with the thoroughbreds, but it has really exploded, especially in the area around the horse park within kind of 20-minute radius of the horse park. It's incredible. It really, truly is. For example, there's a farm behind me, a very famous show jumpers sponsor bought it. And I mean, the place doesn't even look the same. I love it because my little corner looks like Wellington now. It's great. And I get to see nice show jumpers work every day and the beautiful ring behind me. So I'm certainly not opposed to it at all. And it will be interesting to see. I don't know. I haven't really heard through the grapevine what's going on with that. But I think that, Lexington has sort of embraced the horse culture. And certainly Dressage in Kentucky is totally different now with the Festival of Champions and now the USDF head-to-head, those 2 different events that are happening here. And so a lot is happening. So I think the city would be much more excited in general about having it. Of course, there were some issues that would be worked out, but I really think that
they lost money on the deal. Now this time though, they wouldn't lose money because they most of the $150 million they spent was on infrastructure, which is now there.
Which
the stadium,
right.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was more like 80 million. Not that that's a big difference, but. The only reason is
$3 million.
I heard that from the governor last year as we were watching the First Lady ride. He said, "I'm really glad I made these improvements," and I had to tell him I was really thankful of all the facilities, the bathrooms that got upgraded, because it used to be you couldn't find a bathroom at the horse park.
It is funny the little things riders really worry about.
Things you realize,
I am so happy with that, and their horse pass and things that weren't there before that they really did a good job to put in. So certainly, I think people that show at the horse park on a regular basis would welcome more infrastructure even that's here. But it really has changed the face of Kentucky. I think a lot more things will be coming here because of the world-class facilities we have here now. So I think the view of the city and of the kind of how, the people that are in charge of the horse sport would really welcome it. But that's just off the cuff. That's I don't really know overall, but that would be my feeling. And
now,
certainly
Philip must have a feeling because Canada's in the running. Canada's in the running also.
Actually, it'd probably be further for me to drive to Quebec than to drive down to see Reese. So
is that right?
And
I don't feel good
have a
either
free
way.
place to stay. Yeah, they have a free place to stay. A little small, but
Reese offers me a horse stall to sleep in. That's really nice.
I do. I clean it up. I make sure it's clean bedding for him.
Clean bedding every day.
The one I think that we can cross off the list if we were betting is Wellington. They can't even agree to put in a dressage ring.
Yeah.
And to have competitions down there. The wealthy down there do not want 500,000 people descending on Wellington. So the politics down there will not allow this to happen.
I know they just fight all these things, but I think it's good for a place to have commerce, right? And this helps the local economy.
Except
you think
that when you're mega wealthy, you don't want commerce. You want your little piece of paradise, and you want anybody disturbing it. So,
and Wellington's tough. They don't have the infrastructure. Anybody that's
where would they put the
there,
marathon course for driving and the in the swamp across the road?
I don't know where they would do it. Well, just
alligators would chase your horse around.
Yeah. But you would have some fast horses. But just even when it comes to hotels, it's very hard. There's kind of two hotel options. One is the Hampton Inn and one is the Royal Inn.
And let's be honest, once you get outside of Wellington, which is a very small area, it's slummy. I mean, you get into West Palm Beach and over that way, it's not nice.
I guess we're calling a spade today.
Yeah. Okay, Wellington's out. So, you know what? If I was betting on this, like a horse race, and I don't think the Europeans are going to want to come across the pond again. And I think that England has a good shot at it. They just did the Olympics. They know how to run a big event. That's going to be in their favor. I just think they got a good shot at it. Or Canada. I think one of those two. I don't think they're going to come back to Lexington this soon.
Probably not. I agree with that bet.
I mean, I don't know what's going on with the Canadian bid. Really, I have no involvement whatsoever. But they would. I mean, it's just like. They would have to start from scratch, just like Lexington did, basically, and build
off up the $100 million.
Everything.
Yeah.
I mean, where's that money going to come from? Because governments don't have a lot of extra spending money these days.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you guys can't even employ your government workers anymore.
I knew he was going to get that shot.
That's a whole other subject. But I have to be honest. I have a lady that comes and she enjoys just being with the horses. And she called me. She said, "Well, I'm not going to work tomorrow, so can I come to the barn?" So things are clean. Things are put away. So I'm kind of loving the government shutdown. And another week would be ideal because then everything in my barn would be clean and shiny. So I'm sort of waiting for another week, kids. That's just me. Another pair of extra hands of maple crust.
Was there any other news?
Yeah, well, I want to hear about Reese went to the regionals while we were away, while we didn't have a show. So I want to hear that went.
We did. We went up to Lamplight, which it's not a bad drive for us. And it was an away show for our horses that haven't done so many away shows. So that was exciting. And my Winnie was actually very, very good girl. The first day for the 4th level championships, one of their rings is right next to a really, really busy road. And, she kept it together. I have to give it to her. I could tell she really didn't want to keep it together, but and there were some big trucks that came zooming by, and she really did a good job trying to keep it down. So she was 7th in the 4th level out of I think 30, and again I was fine with that. I thought that was a very, good score for her. She had a 65 and change, and I was fine with that. And I'm not kidding around. This really happened to me. I got ready for my St. George. And I said to the owner, Stanley Wiggs, she's my wonderful owner.
Wait. Just hang on 1 second.
Yeah.
You can ride St. George and 4th level championship?
You can. Yep, you can.
That's not fair.
You can ride 2 levels that are next to each other. I don't know. It's part of the rule. You can do that.
Continue on.
Absolutely.
Right,
so, yeah. So I said to Stanley, I think the train is coming. And Stanley said, no, it's not coming. And I said, I'm going to leave the arena. And I left the arena. This was the warm-up ring. Yeah. And the train came a zooming by. So thank goodness. So my warm-up got cut a little short for the St. George. And I did not want to be in the train comes about 20 feet from that particular warm-up ring. So thankfully I heard it and vacated. So I came back in and she was a little tense from the train activity. And then I warmed her up, and she really was a good girl. And we went up the hill and got into the main ring, and she went around the ring, and she was really, really, this was the different ring. This is sort of the main ring, and Whitney likes big rings. And a really good girl came down the center line. She felt great. She was really listening. I saluted. I start trotting off. I turn right for my extended trot, and I am not kidding around. A dog fight breaks out in the pavilion next to the ring. A dog fight. And so
that's what happens. Yeah. I mean, the horse show was dogs everywhere. And then what happened?
Well, we kind of bolted. Yeah. She kind of bolted. Yeah, we did. And I just
Is that in the test?
Is that in the test?
The turn right,
and
extended
bolt.
trot, dog fight, bolt.
Yeah.
Not usually.
You got a 10 though for that, I bet.
Well, I did not. A 10 would have been great, because then I would have gotten the wild card score I was looking for. But we didn't. The judges, I mean, they commented, they said, kind of tough luck kind of thing. And one was halfway nice and the other one was not. No names. We're not going to read names. So I just stopped her and just kind of petted her, and we carried on. So she was more tense than she was when we started. But, it was her 6th St. George, and she had a 66.67. So I was really pleased with her. Yeah, I was, considering that all. Yeah, so that was good. And then who else? My little Frisian walking horse mare was great. She had some discrepancies in her score, which was kind of disappointing when you go from a 68 to 63%. I was kind of disappointed with that. But sometimes when you ride sort of a breed that's not as mainstream, that can happen. But Cassie was wonderful. Cassandra Hummert Johnson. She was reserve in both the I2 Young Rider and the Grand Prix Young Rider, and she had really good scores in that, and she was great. I was really proud of her. And I had one student on Katrina Rescue that Austin Kerr, and I'm going to have her on the show, but she qualified for the USDF National Finals. She won a class out of 47.
Wow.
Yeah, and the training level adult amateur. So we are going to regionals. To the nationals with Charlie Brown.
You did the regional.
We did the regionals. Now we're going to the nationals. So that was pretty exciting. I really wanted to have a horse go, and Charlie Brown is the man. And so we'll have Austin. She's got a great story. She rescued him from Katrina, and I'm one of them. I was sort of the trainer that said, I don't know if we're ever going to get him there, but she was perfect, and he was so good, and really looking forward to coaching her at the national finals.
And what's so ironic and so cool about that is Austin's position with the Kentucky Horse Park, and really it was her that made a lot of this happen. Yeah,
it's true. It's true. And we'll get her on the show. She's the commissioner of the Kentucky Horse Park. So there's many levels. It's really cool. And she is one of the reasons the horse park is what it is today. And so to have her, we will get her on the show, I promise. And
she gets to ride nationals at the horse park.
Ride the nationals. So it's really a good story. I have to be honest, I was crying as she was doing her victory lap. I was so proud. And so that was really cool. So it was a great regionals. Thanks for asking, and sort of ended our year on a really good note. And next week, Cassandra is riding at Festival. So she's doing the Brentina Cup. So I will definitely have to let everybody know how she does. And it's going to be really fun to coach her. She's really a wonderful kid, and she's had a great career with Plato Carlos. So looking forward to that. So lots of good stuff. We're not done yet for the season, but we're kind of wrapping it up with some and ramping it up with others. So, yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the update. We'll have to ask you again in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good. So tell us, Philip, what else is in the news?
Well, new in the news, I guess our next little tidbit here is that the U.S. 2014 Dressage Young and Developing Horse Championships are confirmed to be at Lamplight in Wayne, Illinois. So that's great. That's not too far from you, Reese. And I guess it would be nicer if it was in Lexington like everything else is lately.
Yes.
But going out to Chicago, that's I guess it's a nice spot. I've never been there, but we've had lots of guests talk about how great it is. So wonderful. Young Horse Championships we love to get the riders onto the show and talk about that. So, Chicago again next year. Great.
Yeah, no, we just got back from the regionals, and it's a wonderful facility. It was really, really fun, very friendly for the horses, and so I'm excited they're having it there again, August 20th through 24th. After this commercial break, we're going to talk with Glennie Walford from Martin Collins Equestrian Surfaces, and she's going to talk to us about footing, something we haven't really talked about on the show before. Looking forward to it.
Fleeceworks manufactures pure Australian merino sheepskin and merino wool saddle pads and accessories. Their pads produce a vital thermal balancing layer to pull excess moisture and heat away from the horse's back, allowing muscles to work at maximum capacity without overheating. Fleeceworks Australian merino wool is breathable and hydrophilic, able to hold and store 35% of its own weight in liquid. A longtime staple of the medical field, Australian merino fibers have no equal when it comes to delivering a temperature-controlled, pressure-absorbing layer. The Fleeceworks philosophy: minimum bulk, maximum performance, and they have a variety of anatomically correct pads incorporating technologies and designs that address the individual needs of every horse and rider. Ask for Fleeceworks saddle pads and accessories by name at your local tack and feed store, or visit them online at fleeceworks.com.
Well, it is our pleasure to welcome Glennie Walford from Martin Collins Equestrian Surfaces. She is our footing expert. Glennie, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much indeed. It's good to be on the show.
Well, we try to cover all aspects of dressage, and I have to be honest, we have never done a footing show or segment. So I'm really, really excited about this.
Oh, good. Well, hopefully you'll find a lot of what we go through very helpful then, and so will your listeners.
Great. Well, we'll just get started. We have some great questions for you. And the first question is, what are the best surfaces for different disciplines? For example, what's the difference sort of between dressage and for show jumping?
Okay. We try and keep it very simple in as much as we offer two products in the US. And one of them is a wax-coated product, which doesn't require an irrigation system. And the other is what we call a dry product, which does require an irrigation system. Now, both of them are good for a multitude of disciplines. It really comes down to how you maintain them. So, for instance, with the wax-coated material, you can finish that in such a way where jumpers get more spring for takeoff and landing, yet still get the gears in the surface and the cushion. And for dressage, we tend to finish it slightly more differently, where it's got more, fluffy is probably not the right word, but it's an easy one to comprehend, more of a fluffier finish.
Okay. And what other
Polo would be more akin to jumping because they want to stick and ball. So they would want a surface that's maintained, almost looking as though it's absolutely flat. Does that make sense? So that they can stick and ball on them.
That makes sense.
And the jumpers tend to like it like that because compact is the wrong word, but it's finished with more of a smoother top to it.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And what environmental factors should you consider when you're doing a new outdoor surface?
Well, I think it's really important in these days to consider the company that you're going to use and the components that they're going to be using in their products, that they are environmentally sound. So what goes on the ground is safe to go on the ground and safe for horse and safe for rider. And we do spend a lot of money on R&D, research and development, along this field. And we have all of our products tested, and they all have an environmental seal of approval, so they're all approved. So I think that's the most important thing. The second thing is you want to know, in certain areas, I think people are becoming much more, local authorities are becoming much more watchful of where surface water is draining. Is it draining into the ground? Is it draining into a nearby stream? These are all important factors now, and they are getting a lot hotter on ensuring that streams, for instance, rivers, are not being contaminated. But if your product that you're putting on the ground has a seal of approval, then that shouldn't happen.
That makes sense. So I think this is a big question when you're thinking about footing, because, just even tonight, talking to Philip, he's in Canada, I'm here in Kentucky, and Glenn is in Florida. What type, how do you determine what surface for an outdoor arena is going to be best for your area of the country?
Okay, that's a really, really good question, because we, in the case of the wax-coated product, we manufacture by discipline, by area. So, for instance, the recipe that we use in Florida would not be the recipe that we would use, for instance, in Pennsylvania, because obviously the climatic conditions are very different. And although the wax-coated is extremely tolerant, when you get to those hotter climates like Florida, Texas, and in certain areas in California, we have to be very careful that the product has a component in it that raises the melt point. So in other words, then the wax is not going to collapse. I mean, we have products now in South Africa, Australia, Middle East. So our wax-coateds are proven. In the case of the dry surface, that is not as climatically tolerant. That is true to say. And that, for us, it's our clop, which is a bit of a funny word, but it's clop, C-L-O-P-F. P as in Peter, F as in Frank. And our clop fiber mixed with a good quality sand in those colder areas would be exactly the same as any other dry surface. It is more susceptible to colder conditions. So you just have to be a little more careful and a little more watchful as to where you're going to put these surfaces down.
Now, do you have any surfaces that prevent the freezing or freeze at a colder temperature? Because, I mean, being up here in Canada, everything gets a bit frozen. Is that...
Yeah. We have a lot of our product down in what I call the colder northern European countries.
Right.
And I really honestly don't think there's anything such as what they term an all-weather surface. Any surface is going to freeze dependent upon the amount of water that it's holding at the time the freeze takes place. However, the wax-coated surfaces have much, much more climatic tolerance. And we have them maintained in such a way where if, for instance, you had a small covering of snow, we advise clients not to mix that in with the surface. Leave it on the top. It's a bit like snow on your garden. You know how it sort of protects the earth underneath?
Yeah, it can insulate it a little bit.
Yeah, it does. It protects it. It insulates it. So if it's just a little bit of snow on the top, carry on riding. If it's a foot of snow, well, you wouldn't be riding on it anyway. But
yeah.
They are, unless you had horse snowshoes, but they are much more climatically tolerant.
Well, Philip is from Canada. He probably rides in all kinds of snow.
Yeah.
No, I just go inside. I just go indoors.
Not for the faint-hearted.
Right, not for the faint-hearted. That's right. That's right. We can't do a whole lot of dressage in the deep snow, but we can walk around a bit. So let's talk a little bit about indoor versus outdoor surfaces. Can you tell us a bit about the differences there?
Okay. Indoor versus outdoor. Now, both the products that we have are suitable for indoor or for outdoor use. They're both extremely tolerant in both instances. With an indoor and with an outdoor, the one thing that we do say, and most people are very mindful of this these days, and they do it, they do pick up their droppings, because horse droppings, horse manure, is the worst thing, A, for contaminating a dry or a wax-coated surface, and certainly in the case of the wax-coated footing, it's going to dry out the wax a lot sooner. So on an indoor, I would say that in the summertime, it's good to get airflow. It's good to get airflow, not shut all the doors and keep it stifling hot. It's good to get some airflow going through it. It's good for the footing to do that. So that's one important thing I would say for the summer. And I would also say that in terms of the mix that we would do, they're pretty, indoor or outdoor, are pretty similar. You may find that, and we take it by installation. So, for instance, if it's a big equestrian center, for instance, with a lot of horses going through the indoor, then we might put just a little bit more wax in it to cope with that high horse usage. But in most instances, they're pretty similar. With the fiber, the percentage of fiber that goes into the footing might differ. It may differ if you've got a small indoor school where you need a lot more root structure in the sand to aid the horses turning on, fairly tight corners. So there are little tweaks, let's put it that way, but that is by installation and the number of horses using the footing.
Because I would assume with footing, it's very specific for where you are and like you were saying with the usage. So, as a facility owner, what is a checklist that a facility owner could go through when considering a new type of footing?
Okay. I would say keep it in your mind as simple as possible. Work out what's the criteria? What are the most important points? Budget is going to be a big one. So think about the budget that you have to spend. Think about how many horses are going to be using it. Think about what you want to get out of that footing. Are you prepared to water it? Or are you in an area where you can't water it? If it's outdoor, don't put it, don't build it, don't construct it on a piece of ground that is fairly sloping, because it's going to cost you a lot more in leveling the land in terms of groundwork. The more level a spot you can find, the less expensive it's going to be to build. Don't build it in an area where you've got a lot of leaf fall around you, because the leaf fall, again, during the autumn months will contaminate the surface if you leave the leaves on there, and that wouldn't matter whatever surface was going on. That's a contamination problem. And another really important point, which I know is not directly talking about footing, but wherever you construct your arena on an outdoor or an indoor for that matter, ensure that you have a good approach that's clean, so that when your horses go into your footing and when your maintenance machinery goes in, it's not taking debris in on it. You're going to keep it as clean as you possibly can. And in terms of the footing, I would say that the main thing is what you want to get out of it. The budget, can you water it? And then go and talk to people, research it. Don't make a quick decision. To find out, do your research, and then say to the company, right, okay, let me talk to people who have your footing installed, and talk to those clients. See what the clients think about the footing, and also see what the clients think about the company.
Yeah, that is so true. As somebody who I built an outdoor and then I built an indoor sort of on top of the outdoor a couple of years later. And all these things, it's amazing. I think in my next career, I'm going to drive a bulldozer, because you may look, I'm telling you, you may look at something and be like, oh, that looks flat. Yeah, it may not be.
It's not. There's no such thing as a flat surface until you make it flat.
Oh, and just when I got...
You just hit on another point there. Sorry if I interrupted you there, but another really important point is this is a whole big educational change going on here now. You don't, for instance, on a refurbishment, you don't need to rip everything out to refurb a ring. If you've got a dome in the center, a crown, which are so difficult to maintain. If you've got quite a big crossbore, where you're finding surface is migrating, wash off because they're put on sealed bases. These days, if you had a ring like that, you don't have to rip the whole thing out to improve it. You can take the crown off, You can level out your crossfall. You can install some drainage. You can use that as a formation layer, and then you can build a free draining base on top of it. But always ensure that you go to a reputable company. It's going to cost you more, but it's such a huge investment that it's money well spent for the long term.
Yeah, I mean, I have to reiterate that point because I've been around, and some people go to a company and then end up having to undo all of the work that they did because they didn't really know what they were doing. I've seen it quite a few times. Companies that don't necessarily know anything about equine footing or building a ring, but they have a bulldozer and they go in and they mess it up for a cheaper price, but in the end it ends up costing you more, right? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we see it time and time and time again, as you've just said. And for me, it's an industry where, and it's the same in the UK, and we have been pushing for this in the UK for, golly, how long have I been doing this? 22 years, and Martin's been running the company over 35.
Right.
We've been pushing for an industry standard, so that people are protected. I mean, we do stand by what we do, and we do work with approved contractors who will do it right first time.
Right.
And so often somebody will say, I've got somebody down the road and he can do it and it won't be a problem. And you think, oh, golly, I hope so. Because
No, it is so true. And you really do. I love the idea of go to people that have rings in your area and talk to them, because I did that before I built mine. And, there was an excavator in town, and several people used them, and he messed up several arenas. So, they're like, don't use this excavator, or, there's certain things that you can do and really research and take your time, because it is more of a pain to ride on it. And, God forbid your horses get hurt or you have to redo it. Oh my Lord, you don't want to be doing that. It really is something.
I mean, just the time involved, right? I mean, you want to get the ring in, you want to ride on it, right? And then maybe you waste a whole summer messing around with a problem that could have been taken care of right away and done properly, and then you can enjoy your arena. And especially here, because the construction, you can only do it during the summer, right? You can't do anything during the winter. It all snows and it freezes over. So you'll lose a year, like an entire year of riding, possibly in an indoor that, a very expensive indoor that you just built, or, all these kinds of situations. So I think, get it done right.
I think more people are realizing that the free draining base is the way to go. And not to put them, not to put sort of 3 inches of concrete screenings, on a sealed base and then wonder why your horse is jarred up. I think people are especially with the world opening up the way it is, with riders being able to experience footing in different countries and then coming back and saying, crikey, yes, look, we can do something different here, and it's not going to cost an arm and a leg.
Yeah. So on that note, I was just going to say budget.
Let's talk the costs. What are the costs involved?
Well, the wax-coated footing that we produce is expensive. There's no two ways about it. It is expensive to install initially, but once it's in, you get what I call in inverted commas a cost holiday. And I always advise clients to do a 5-year projection, because by the time they've taken the cost of the wax-coated footing and then versus that against no irrigation system, those are all important factors to take into consideration. And the cost of maintaining a dry surface, for instance, versus a wax surface. So although it's expensive initially to put in, you do get a cost holiday. With the cloth and sand footing, that does require an irrigation system, although the cloth fiber has an amazing moisture retention property, which we've just experienced firsthand at Sonoma Horse Park during a show where they never get any rain. And we got rain on Saturday, and we got rain, and it just worked perfectly. So, we were thrilled. So that is a lot less expensive, but you do have to then put in an irrigation system, and there is a little bit more maintenance to it. So, for instance, for a dressage ring, a straightforward 197 by 66, say, you'd be looking at about $45,000 for a wax-coated footing versus about $15,000 for a sand and fiber ring. Now, that sand and fiber price that I've given you, that's a very conservative figure in terms of the sand cost, because this is another key area. Although the cloth fiber is very sand tolerant, the best sand that you can get is one that binds well when it's wet, a good silica sand. Now, those aren't cheap, and they can go anywhere in the country, anywhere from, say, $35 a ton to $80 a ton. I mean, it's that diverse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I know that.
Depending on where you live, depending on when you live, yeah.
Yeah. So the price I've given you is a very conservative price based on say, $40 a ton for sand.
Yeah.
To say a slightly larger ring, say, for a 200 by 100, you'd be looking at about $70,000 for your wax coated versus about $23,000 for a sand and cloth fiber.
Yeah.
So there's quite a bit of difference. But then on top of your sand and fiber, you're going to have to put your irrigation system in.
Right.
And those vary hugely. And then you've got a little bit more maintenance.
Yeah.
But both are very good. Both are approved surfaces. And both have been used in major competition environments as well as private and professional use at home.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for talking about footing. I think it is such a great discussion and one that will continue for every horse owner and facility owner. Glennie, how do our listeners... Yes.
Sorry, can I just before we go, I think there's one element that is a key element that tends to get a little bit left behind, and that's the maintenance of them.
Yes.
Ensure that you get a good maintenance machine and that you follow the maintenance instructions that the company gives you, and thoroughly check that out with clients too.
That is a really good point. Yes, that is part of it. You don't think about it, but you may need a new drag. And when you do the arena, you don't figure that into the price. I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, and you see,
and you're like,
we don't use drags. We have a piece of machinery that is designed to groom and level, not drag. So it doesn't throw your levels out. And we also give our clients a DVD on how to maintain their ring. And then we also have a customer follow-up care service. So we go back to them periodically, or they have a line. They can call us if they need some help. But it's a really important factor.
It is, and definitely one not to forget about, because that's what you're doing, however weekly, however much you need to be doing your arena. It's definitely a huge process as an arena owner, and sometimes you have to learn as you go, but to have someone to call is really, really helpful. But Glennie, thank you so much for your time and teaching us about footing, and we should have you back on and talk more about it, because it is such a huge part of what we all do. Glennie, how do our listeners get in touch with you if they have any questions?
Well, we have a website, and that is very easy. It's www.martincollinsusa.com, and they can call me direct on my cell number, which is always with me, which is 859-321-3751.
Next on the show, after this commercial, we have Ula Parker from Crusador Farms in Maryland, talking to us about dressage at Devon.
Glenn the Geek here. The life of horse person is hard enough, and we all hate doing the required paperwork, and unfortunately many of us never get around to it, and it just piles up on our desk. That is about to change thanks to the EquiSketch Records app for your iPhone or iPad. My wife and I use it to track our horses, and we absolutely love this thing. EquiSketch Records is the most thorough and complete equestrian records app on the market today. We love this app because you can track your farrier work, your dental, your coggins, medicines, worming, and so much more. And you can get reminders on your device when all of these things are due. You'll never forget a worming or shots or farrier visit again. But it not only tracks your horse, you can also manage your horse shows, including individual events. You can manage riders, including lessons and memberships, and so much more. And you can sync it between your iPhone and your iPad, and all of this for the price of a couple of cups of coffee from Starbucks. Search for EquiSketch Records in the iOS App Store or go to equisketch.com. That's EquiSketch.com. EquiSketch.com.
Well, I am so excited to welcome back to the show Ula Parker from Maryland. She is Philip and my friend, and she is here to report all about the week at Devon last week. Welcome, Ula. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, can we start? You were the brave soul that I just envy because you took some babies to the breed division to start off. How did that go?
It went really well. We brought a foal and a yearling and a 3-year-old, and they did really well. It's a very hectic atmosphere for young horses, so I was really proud of them because they're hot horses. So it was a good experience for them.
Well, Ula, kind of tell us, because Devon is so big, tell us how big are the classes that your horses were? Well, the horses of the farm that you work at. How big are the classes at Devon for them?
Well, I think most of the year there was probably like between 20 and 30 foals, and probably also the same amount for the yearlings and the 3-year-olds. I mean, there were a lot of horses there and a lot of good horses. So it was some big classes. So it was tough competition.
I've got to ask Ula because I'm completely in awe of this. How do you take a foal to Devon? I mean, just tell me the process of that.
On a trailer, Reese, like normal.
Thank you, Philip. But I mean, what do you do? There's all these babies. Are they free? Do you have them in hand? Like,
no,
what are you doing?
You have them in hand. You have one to run the mother, and then hopefully, the foal runs with the mother. But you have to have a lead line on the foal, and it's unfortunately, not all foals show their best because they're more worried about somebody running next to them because they're not used to it. So to me personally, it would be nice if they could run free, but unfortunately, that's just a huge risk. If a foal runs free and somebody gets hurt.
Dangerous. Yeah, that seems dangerous. Yeah.
So do you guys get some practice in with the running in the foal before you go? How much practice are you doing there?
We practice quite a lot with the foal, but it's one thing if they're so comfortable at home. When they come out in a new place, they're like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" So you can never prepare 100% for that. It's the same with the riding horses. You can prepare all you want, but it's
a
different when you come out.
Environment.
Yeah, for sure. So talk to us about some of the horses that were the highlights of the breed division.
Well, I would have to say our own. We have a yearling that's phenomenal. Unfortunately, the judge that was judging wasn't quite on the same page as us.
that can be the case sometimes.
Yeah. I hate that.
I've experienced that.
Well, I mean, it was, there was a judging panel there too. I guess it was Janet Foy that was running that. And they really liked the horse, and it's nice of she came and gave us feedback that that they really liked it, and also. But
tell us a little bit about the horse. What are the breed? Yeah, what are the bloodlines that you guys are using, and the mares that you've got?
The foal that we brought was a voice out of a feeder trans mare. Really, really, really super foal. Unfortunately, we sold it in Euro, so it's not something I can buy.
So it's going to be leaving. Yeah.
And then the yearling was it's a Sardine Fearful, which is a Gribaldi, a Danish warm blood, on I think it's a Hill Hawk mare. It's a thoroughbred, but a phenomenal horse. And the 3-year-old we bought was a Fürstenball on a Howard mare. Drop dead gorgeous. She looks just like Fürstenball. So
very nice.
That's really super horse. So.
Super. And who is the horse that won the grand champion for the breed show?
That was a mare, an older mare. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see her. But she must have been pretty spectacular for winning because there was a lot of really good horses.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, with the giant divisions that they have and the stallions and That's great. So you were also riding in the performance division. What horse did you take to Devon this year?
I have a 5-year-old Hofrat Donahoe mare. She's really green. I just qualified her 2 months ago to go to Devon. We were like, all right, let's try. And she qualified, and she just exceeded my expectations. She was so good. But the whole atmosphere and all that, she's a little hot, so she was so good and so brave. So I was really proud of her.
Super.
So she's a very elegant little light mare. She's fun to ride.
Excellent. Ulla, can you tell us a little bit about the atmosphere at Devon? I mean, so many people go to Devon, and it's such a big show in the Northeast. Tell us a little bit about the atmosphere and that type of thing.
Well, you have 2 rings going on, like for the breed shows. You have the 2 rings going on, and there's horses everywhere running and people everywhere, and you have the grandstands, and it's just, all the signs and banners and just everything. It's just very, it's a lot for a young horse to go there. I mean, they have to keep their cool. And for the riding, the gold ring, for some reason, a lot of horses doesn't like that because you have the barns around it, and there's so much going on. Like where the Dixon Oval, it's a little bit more closed in because you have the grandstands there. So, but it's a fun place to ride. I mean, it makes you, I was riding a young horse, but you still, see all the flags and all that around, and it's a fun show. It's a lot of fun.
Now, Ulla, we've seen, I think on Facebook, a lot of people have seen a certain photo that's been going around from a horse, I think maybe in your division, that decided to have a little snack around the ring. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I was riding right after that, and I wasn't quite sure what was going on. I just heard a lot of laughter and mention about flowers. Well, it turned out that the horse had taken a huge bite of a flower and was standing right when Lilo Foray was talking to the rider. And he was just standing there, totally cool, just eating the flower. It was funny.
So not all the horses are that scared of the atmosphere and all the extra things. Some of them find something to chew on, I guess.
He was pretty cool, and there was even a thoroughbred. I mean, he was very nonchalant about the whole thing. So it was funny, and the judges, they made it fun. They were still talking about it for all the other comments they were making to other riders. He's not eating flowers, so it was fun.
Well, I have to also say I saw a very cute lead line photo.
Oh yeah.
of your daughter. How did she do in the lead line class?
She did really well. We only had one meltdown when I had to braid her hair. She doesn't like that, but she did well. She really liked it. So it was fun.
How old is your daughter? How old is your daughter now, Ulla?
She is 2.5.
And you put her on a pony?
Yeah. She likes to ride.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
You can't start them young enough.
That's right.
Another rider in the family. That's perfect.
Yeah.
I love it. And Ulla, how was the Grand Prix Freestyle? That's really the big one at Devon, isn't it?
The highlight, right?
It was lots of fun. I mean, there was some top riders there. There was it's late at night. It's under the lights. It's always, again, it's the atmosphere. There's just the whole grandstand. Everything is packed. So it's fun for the riders to ride it.
So who was the highlight ride for you, Ulla?
Well, I really like to see Lars's ride.
Yeah.
And Ashley Holter too. I mean, that's just 2 super riders. I mean, they know how to really ride their horses around, and they're so correct in their training. It's just wonderful to see.
And they were 1 and 2. Lars was 1, and Ashley was 2nd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, my old boss, Mikaela Gundersen. I mean, it's fun it's great to see her back in the Grand Prix ring again. She really deserves it because she's such a hard rider. So I think she was 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
So that was fun to watch too.
And Ulla, how was the shopping? I really want to know that. How was the shopping?
The shopping is phenomenal up there. Unfortunately, it's like really, really expensive. And when you have 2 sets that I have to like really only go and buy what I really need.
The motherhood.
They have everything up there from, really, really super nice boots to riding jackets to everything. So
it's always fun to go window shop.
Oh, it is. It is. So.
For sure.
So, no, it was a really good show this year.
Super.
And the weather was nice, right?
Yeah, no rain.
For once. For once, right? You guys, nobody got rain
yeah.
down there, so that was good.
No rain. It's the first time I've ever been there with no rain, so.
I think that's the first time ever. It's not rained. The first time I can remember in a long time.
Yeah. Well, it was nice.
Perfect.
Really,
well, thank you so much for coming on and talking about Devon with us. You're one of our friends, and we love to have a conversation with you. One last question: how do people find information about your farm? Where do they find you on the internet?
Either on Facebook on Crossier Door Farm or online on the website. It's called CrossierDoorFarm.com.
Can you spell it out for us, just in case, like me, people can't spell?
Yeah. It's CROSIADORE farm.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Anytime. My pleasure.
Coach Jen here, host of the Horse Tip Daily Show on the Horse Radio Network. The way consumers interact with the brands they have trusted for years and those they are about to fall in love with for the first time is becoming more and more mobile, literally, and will continue to do so for the foreseeable future. Podcasts or internet radio shows like this one combine the new consumer preference for on-demand information and entertainment with the power of niche market audiences. Advertising on the Horse Radio Network podcasts allows you to reach the equestrian consumer using today's preferred on-demand delivery system. It's cost-effective and flexible, able to reinforce your existing marketing and social media strategies. To learn more about advertising on this show or any of the shows on the Horse Radio Network, contact us at 859-951-2022 or you can email us at glenn@horseradionetwork.com. That's Glenn with 2 N's at horseradionetwork.com. Come and join the Horse Radio Network family. You'll enjoy the ride.
Well, Philip, we don't have a lot of listener feedback today, which we always like. So please feel free to send us some emails or put it on our Facebook page. We always love listener emails. But I have a shout out. I have a shout out to my wonderful husband, who is the best horsey husband ever. It is our
because he listens to the show.
Yeah, he's listening through the wall right now, I'm sure, and really embarrassed. But it is our anniversary this week, and I just want to wish him a happy anniversary. And for every other horsey husband that lives in a barn and built a farm for his wife, he deserves it. And so happy anniversary, honey. We're at 7 years, which I can't believe. It just went by so fast. So, yay!
You know, they say if you make it through this year, you're golden.
Okay, well, that's
so you only have one more to go, Reese.
One more year, and we're good to go. Yeah, I think now at this point we're way too deep.
He's given up at this point. Right?
Everybody that hasn't been to Reese's place, they literally live in the barn.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, you can hear the horses through the wall. I mean, it's
well, I'm sure you can hear it sometimes during the show. I have one that can hear my voice, and he's screaming. He's been screaming for the last half an hour. So it's my Denali, my sweet boy. He hears me and he screams. So
well, congratulations! Is he cooking you dinner?
No, I think we're going to go. We have some great restaurants. We're going to go to the Holly Hill Inn, which is just a wonderful
that's a great restaurant.
Yeah, it's a really nice restaurant. So we're going to go there, I think. And then we have festival and all kinds of stuff going on this week. So we'll have a quiet evening probably this weekend, and then we'll get back into work for festival. So should be a lot of fun though. Yeah. So that is awesome. And guys, you have been making fun of me for months now. My Blackberry finally died at the horse show. A very slow, painful death. And so
it was 20 years old, Reese.
It was not 20 years old, Glenn, and I know it was really sad that the screen was broken. It was really a sad state. But I got a droid, and the best thing about my droid is the Horse Radio Network app, which I got today. So
you figured out how to do it?
I
even
did.
Reese
I learned.
figured out how to
I could figure out and use our Horse Radio Network app. So if I can do it, everybody, as we all know, I am technically challenged. So it's a great app. It's really easy to use. It was really easy to search and get it. So get the app. It's great. And so I do. The boys have been making fun of me. I do not like it for email like I liked my BlackBerry because that was awesome.
Used to it.
But the apps, the whole app world, that it's pretty awesome.
It opened up your life.
It's pretty awesome.
Welcome to the 21st century, Reese.
I'm in. Yay. So anyways, everybody get the Horse Radio Network app. It's really easy to get and it's really easy to use. And I actually listened to a show just to practice using it. So it's very easy. So Horse Radio Network, just search that and it'll come up. It's really easy.
And that's iOS or Android, either one.
Yep.
Hey, can I mention what I did over the weekend real quick?
Yes.
I went down to I went up to Aiken with Wendy, Dr. Wendy Ying of the Driving Radio Show. We went up to Aiken to the American Driving Society annual meeting and met about 200 other drivers there.
Cool.
And they had all kinds of different drives. Wendy brought one of her horses up, and we got to do a parade. They closed down. I don't know if you've been. Have you been to Aiken, Reese?
I have not. I would love to. It's on my bucket list for sure.
It's a beautiful place, and they closed down a bunch of the streets in town, and we actually had a carriage parade. And there were 40 carriages, led by 2 coaches, which are the really huge carriages that you see people sitting on top, and then people can sit inside. That only the very, very wealthy have. Pulled by 2 foreign hands, so they actually in full regalia, full outfits with the grooms and the whole thing.
Oh, beautiful!
Wow!
And police had closed, and they had hundreds of people on the streets watching and taking pictures. That was really, really cool. But one of the interesting things that happened, and this was not coordinated, was as we were going along, all of a sudden, coming out a side street, traffic was stopped, but the traffic was about 40 Model Ts. They were also having a get-together, so the carriages were passing the Model Ts, and all the Model T drivers were out taking pictures of the carriages. It was just one of those surreal moments that I looked over and said, there's history coming together, you know?
How cool is that?
Right.
Wow.
So that was
awesome.
really neat.
Really
And there was foreign hands there, pairs, singles, and minis. There were a bunch of minis there. And the minis did the whole 2-hour parade. I don't know how they did it.
Them. Good mini. Yeah, they slept well. Poor minis.
I got to tell you real quick, though, something that happened. Darley is there. Darley's one of the big thoroughbred breeding farms that they also have in Lexington.
Yep.
And where we were coming out of where we were stabling to get to the place we were meeting to do the parade, we had to drive over about a mile. And as we made the turn out of the fairgrounds where we were staying, Darley is right there. Well, the fences are really close to the road at these farms, unlike Kentucky. So the yearlings were out. Right beside the road, and then the babies were out on the other side, and the minis led the parade, led the group that we had, and they freaked out. The thoroughbreds went nuts. They were running, and one of them tried to jump the fence and got stuck halfway across.
Oh, that's bad news.
Freaked the minis out. So the minis pulling these carts went crazy, and the one of them turned a cart over, and it was just a wreck. The thoroughbreds are running, the minis are falling, and then our horses behind that, the horses are all going nuts, and I said, Wendy, let's get out of here. So we made a U-turn and headed back, and everybody else did the same until they cleaned up the mess, and they got the yearlings out and everything. But the Darley people were not happy that they weren't warned. Situation.
I
but
could see that.
And everybody was fine. The horse that went over the fence was fine, and the mini and the driver finished the parade, so everything was fine. Okay. But it was a bit of a tragic start.
All that ends well. Yeah, that's a disaster.
Yeah, that's crazy. Horses. They are just
so apparently thoroughbreds do not like thoroughbred eating minis. Yes.
Yeah. No. Oh wow.
Doesn't
Oh
take
goodness.
much to set them off. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad
They need to put their
everything's
fence back a little bit. Tell them to
Yeah.
put their fence back a bit.
Yeah. Oh boy. Goodness.
Yeah.
Goodness.
I haven't seen so many people come out of a barn in such a hurry as I did out of the Darley barns.
I'm sure they were running. That's for sure. Their heart rate just went through the roof. Goodness.
Yeah, $1 million babies right there.
Yeah, jumping the fence.
Yeah,
Wow.
getting stuck.
Well, on that note, everybody, you can find our show notes and links to today's guests at our website at dressageradio.com. You can like us on Facebook. Just search Dressage Radio Show. Follow us on Twitter at Horse Radio. My website is maplecrestfarmky.com, and my email is reese@horseradionetwork.com.
Was that Travis winning in the background there?
No, that's Denali. Did you hear him?
Yes.
That's Travis.
That's Denali.
That was Travis going,
check.
it's dinner time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Travis is hungry.
Yes.
It's Travis and Denali. Like, it just depends on what, I was going to say what child, but that didn't come out right. What of my family is hungry. Travis is definitely going to be fed first. That's for sure. Denali will have to wait just a little while longer for his night
Priorities.
Say goodbye,
Yes.
Philip.
All right. Well, you can find me at philipparksequestrian.com, and my email is philip@horseradionetwork.com. I'd like to thank our sponsors for this week, Fleeceworks and Equisketch. And don't forget to check out all the other great shows on the Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com.
Everybody, keep your heels down and your shoulders back, and we can't wait to talk to you next week.